I have to be better about not watching toxic videos on YouTube. It's too easy to get sucked into certain things. Fortunately, there are tremendous numbers of positive and educational YouTube videos out there. I am going to put the links down to two channels, which I think are excellent. The first one, I believe it's pronounced Red Dragon. There's Y's instead of E's, and replacing another vowel. But he does a tremendous job with researching and coming up with these thought questions regarding primitive archery. One, which I thought was fantastic, is when exactly did the early bow makers start sinew backing? And he was working off of cave drawings, petroglyphs, that showed people not only with the long, obviously D-bows, but shorter ones that were shaped and recurved. And so that was thought-provoking. Another really neat one was, what would Native American cavalry think about that used the North American style sinew back bow? What would they think of Asiatic or Eurasian horse bows that were horn bows? And that was thought-provoking too. I made a few good comments on that. He even gave me a little heart for my comments, so fire up, Red Dragon. The other one was Shinbone. Shinbone is an amazing worker in stone and also other primitive arts. And for 30 years, literally 30 years, I've been wondering, how did the native peoples on their horse bows do this mysterious thing called quill work, porcupine quill work plating, where you would see these beautiful decorations with dyed quills that were plated, whatever the heck that meant, and then put them as midland decorations. I've used leather and beaded decorations. I've used rattlesnake skin, but man, the next thing that I'm going to stick with, now that Senor Shinbone taught me how to do quill work plating, that's it. That's a cat's pajamas. See, I kept it clean. And so on my bows, my horse bows, quill work, dyed quill work. It's going to be cool. And I'm going to have the link to that also, so you too can learn quill plating, porcupine quill plating. There was probably a time between then and now that it was almost lost. This knowledge was almost lost, how to work with porcupine quills like that. There's quill box makers and people that use quills for other things, but the plating, doing the decorations, that almost said bye-bye. I mean, as far as my viewpoint, because I couldn't find any information on it. And Senor Shinbone taught me. And so hopefully you all will see these too. And then you can teach other people and keep it alive. Now that everyone in the world is going to be making this style bow. No. They are sacred objects to us. I don't need to tell you why or how or, the greater scheme of why we consider these sacred objects. Because you're in the primitive archery. I'm preaching to the choir. Whether or not you're making Holmegard bows, which that's an interesting thing. Somehow the name Holmegard, which is a region in Denmark, the bows that have the bending, all here, and then the narrow, deeper tips became Målergebed bows. Well, Målergebed was a Stone Age settlement that was along the coast somewhere in Denmark, part of a greater community of coastal people, which probably, extended by way of trade and people just walking around to Holmegard, Denmark. So the whole issue of calling these bows Holmegards or Målergebeds is kind of moot. And also, in my simple mind, I have to believe that form, because there's a fellow that made what he called a Viking bow that was similar to it. I don't think you can cubby-hole a design of a bow to one specific place at one specific time. There were probably thousands of these things made throughout the Nordic regions. And so I may call them Målergebeds, even though I have no idea where Målergebed is. You can't find it on Google Earth. It doesn't exist anymore. You can find Holmegard, And so whether or not I call it by one name or another name, I think in some respects it's a little bit of I'm smarter than you because I know a different name for this thing and I'm going to categorize, even though that bow style probably appeared all over the place throughout thousands and thousands of years of bow making history. Let you off the hook. If you call them home guards, you're not going to go to jail. As far as what I said about not sanding these, I think I'd be doing the wood, the tree that I took these staves from at the service. If I didn't finish it to my utmost abilities, I'd be doing the deer or elk that supplied the sinew at the service if I did not finish this to my utmost ability. I've got sandpaper here. I would be doing everything at the service if I did not finish these bows to the best of my ability because they, to me, represent sacred objects. And so, strike that notion that I'm just going to leave it rough and see the tool marks. No, as long as I've got this, my wooden sanding block and 80 grit, I'm going to do my best job. This one is going to have a more subtle bend, and I think it's really nice because it has very gentle reed curves on it. It's a beautiful shape, along with being snaky. I can see that this bow, even though I haven't had a string on it, is basically tillered. By, you ask. How? How, John, do you know it's tillered? Well, symmetrical width, and again, width is 4 times less effective as far as causing or allowing bend than thickness, but they are symmetrical. I'm counting the growth rings. As they pinch up, they move, another growth ring, more or less symmetrical throughout the change in growth rings. So it is narrow, or is thinning. I gotta watch my terminology here. It is thinning at a constant rate and a similar rate throughout. So there could be some variation in the sinew backing, which will force me to do some final sanding when the thing is cured. However, for all intents and purposes, this is basically a tillered bow. It's going to be a heavy one, and I can reduce it, but it's a tillered bow. It's going to be a tillered bow with sinew backing, porcupine quill work on middle ends because shin bone did me a solid. I was asked several times, and I am going to give you, I'm going to send out the tracings of my paddle bow template. Got to send them out. I was also asked about a template for this one, a pattern. I've got templates for, you know, the shapes of the faces of bows. And so how hard would that be for me? I've got big sheets of paper. If somebody was to send me, for example, a self-addressed stamped envelope, throw a couple bucks in there, you know, I'm not going to get rich on here, but, you know, got to go to the post office and take the time to, like, trace things out and got to pay for the paper. You know, throw a few bucks in a self-addressed stamped envelope. You know, ask me which templates you want, whether or not it's the face shape for my paddle bow or template for this bow or templates for this, and I can just get my giant sheet of paper and trace things out and then just put them in that envelope and mail them to you. Everything is good. The last bit I want to talk about is this whole idea of bows being used in melees, and it seems to be making the round, going viral on YouTube. A lot of people are talking about it. Well, you can't use an English longbow. Well, you could, but you could only use it for a club after you're using it for a club, because it's so soft that you can damage it with a fingernail. Just imagine hitting some armor or something else on the back of that bow and then trying to draw it. A 100-pound bow plus would become a bomb, literally, if the back was damaged. What bows could be used in melees? These things, probably without damaging them. You know, everyone gets trapped into the thought of European battles, but in North America things were a bit different. Native peoples were not carrying swords. And so, you know, the last ditch effort, you probably could do damage to somebody in a fight with one of these things. It's almost sword-like. And being a hardwood like hop hornbeam, or American hornbeam, 2 different trees within the same family, or Osage orange or oak or whatever, you could probably and sinew back, use it for a weapon and not damage it. Even if you were to hit it on the knife edge, you know, that sinew is so tough, it's armored, it wouldn't explode if you used it again. I'm not going to try it, but that is that. Said everything I want. Have a great day. Thank you for watching, and it's entirely possible I might sinew back these 2 ash bows and then just sell them after the sinew gets hard like this, and then you can final tiller them and put the string grooves in at a reduced price. We'll see. Let me know what you're thinking on that. Or else you just want these things raw, finish drying them out and sinew back them yourself. It would be at a very reasonable price. Anyway, have a great day. Happy October. Thank you for watching.